In the ancient land of Uz, there lived a righteous man named Ayyub, blessed with great wealth and unshakable faith. Ayyub was known throughout the land for his generosity, feeding the poor and sheltering every traveler who passed his door. At home, his wife and children gathered joyfully, grateful for the peace and abundance God had given them. His wealth was vast, countless flocks of sheep, camels, and oxen grazing across the golden hills. Yet despite his riches, Ayyub remained humble, spending long hours in quiet prayer and reflection. His sons and daughters would often gather together at his eldest son's house, sharing meals and laughter. But a great trial had been decreed, one that would test the very depth of Ayyub's faith. A messenger arrived breathless, telling Ayyub that raiders had taken his flocks and struck down his shepherds. Before he could grieve, a second messenger came, telling him fire had consumed his remaining herds. Ayyub received the news in silence, his heart heavy, but his faith unshaken, whispering only words of patience. Then came the darkest news of all. A mighty wind had struck his eldest son's house, and his children were gone. Ayyub and his wife wept quietly together, their grief immense, yet even then his faith did not break. In his sorrow, Ayyub lifted his hands and said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away, blessed be his name." Sometime later, Ayyub's own body was struck with a severe and lasting affliction, testing him even further. Years of illness followed, yet Ayyub never once spoke a word of complaint against his Lord. His wife stood faithfully by his side, tending to him with tireless devotion despite their hardship. Each day, she walked far to gather what little food she could find, never once losing hope. Though the villagers kept their distance, fearful of his illness, Ayyub bore their coldness without bitterness. Through it all, Ayyub continued his quiet prayers, trusting that his Lord had not forgotten him. Years passed this way, Ayyub's patience becoming a quiet legend whispered throughout the land. Word of Ayyub's suffering reached 3 old friends in distant lands who set out at once to comfort him. When they saw Ayyub from afar, they barely recognized him and wept aloud at how greatly he had changed. For 7 days, the friends sat beside him in silence, unable to find words for such deep sorrow. At last, one friend gently asked why such misfortune had befallen a man of such devotion. Ayyub answered humbly that trials are not always punishment, but a means by which faith is refined. Though his friends struggled to understand, Ayyub declared that his hope in God's mercy. In time, moved by his unshaken faith, the 3 friends began to see their doubts had been misplaced. Humbled, the friends asked for his forgiveness, and Ayyub, without bitterness, prayed for them in return. Reconciled, Ayyub and his friends shared a simple meal together beneath the open evening sky. When the friends departed, they carried word of Ayyub's patience to every land they passed through. Among those present was a thoughtful young man named Elihu, who had listened quietly, waiting respectfully for his turn to speak. He had held his tongue through the long debate, though his heart burned with things yet unsaid. At last, Elihu spoke, saying that wisdom does not belong to age alone, but to those who hold reverence for God. Suffering, he said, is not always punishment, but sometimes a mercy meant to draw the heart closer to its creator. Ayyub listened closely, finding in Elihu's words a quiet echo of the trust he had carried all along. Soon after, a mighty wind swept across the land, and the sky itself seemed to tremble with majesty. In that moment, all present were reminded of the vastness of creation, the mountains, the seas, the stars beyond counting. Humbled before such majesty, Ayyub bowed low, recognizing how small his own understanding truly was. The friends fell silent too, realizing their judgments had been far too small for so vast a mystery. It was in this deep humility that Ayyub's heart turned once more to prayer, ready for what would come next. At last, in the depth of his suffering, Ayyub called out, "Truly affliction has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." In response to his heartfelt prayer, a divine command came to him, "Strike the ground with your foot." Ayyub obeyed, and where his foot touched the earth, a cool, clear spring burst forth from the ground. He bathed in the healing waters, and by God's mercy, his affliction lifted, his strength fully restored. Ayyub rose renewed, standing tall and strong, his faith having carried him through the darkest trial. His faithful wife found him there, and their joyful reunion was filled with tears of gratitude and relief. In time, by God's mercy, Ayyub's flocks were restored twice over, his fields flourishing once again with abundant blessing. A new generation of children filled his household once more, and laughter returned to his home. The villagers who once kept their distance now returned, honoring Ayyub for the depth of his patience. In his later years, Ayyub remained as generous as before, sharing his renewed blessings freely with all. Travelers came from distant lands just to hear Ayyub speak of patience and unwavering trust in God. Ayyub lived out his days in peaceful gratitude, tending his fields much as he had in his younger years. In the years that followed his healing, elders from many villages came seeking Ayyub's wisdom and counsel. Generations later, Ayyub's story of patience through unimaginable loss is still told beneath the same golden sky. In his final years, Ayyub watched his family flourish and multiply generation after generation. He was remembered not for his wealth, nor even his healing, but for the depth of patience he carried through loss. Mothers and fathers across the land would tell their children of Ayyub whenever hardship came to their door. His name became a byword for endurance, spoken with reverence for thousands of years after his passing. And so, the story of Ayyub remains, a reminder that even in our darkest hour, unwavering faith is never wasted. To this day, the Golden Valley where Ayyub once lived still carries the quiet memory of his patience. 4,000 years later, Ayyub's patience still teaches the world how to endure with unwavering faith. Ayyub teaches us that even in our darkest hour, patience and trust in God can restore what seems lost forever. Have you ever faced a hardship that tested your patience? Tell us in the comments. From unimaginable loss to renewed abundance, Ayyub's journey reminds us that faith can outlast any storm. If Ayyub's patience moved you, don't miss the next story. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell for more true sacred stories.